Time for another miniature, and the following game was one of those who actually attracted me to play the following opening. Sorry for my rough voice. Once again, I was partying, so I guess that's a good part of life. Let's get started. So, after e4, e5, d4, e takes d4, you sack another pawn. When they take it, you go for bishop c4. And that's the point of this Nordic or Danish Gambit. You just go for a game full of activity of your pieces, and it's a great game. If you really like this opening and if you really want to find it, just go on my channel and find Danish Gambit and how should you trade it. There are like a bunch of lines and things that you can go for and learn how to play the special opening. After they go knight f6, there are two moves, e5, but e5 is a little bit debatable if should be played because of d5. Just because of that, this guy Martin Beer, whose game we're analyzing from White's perspective, who played against Ricardo Rocamora, played knight c3. So he just developed his knight, and you're still not sure with the white pieces whether you want to play long or short castle. This guy went for knight c6, and now he said, okay, development before anything else. So he went for the knight f3. After bishop b4, because black also follows the same approach, like development before anything else, and he's just preparing himself for the castles. Queen c2. What I like about this game, and even though the game was played back to 1876, White hasn't committed himself yet with either of these castles. He hasn't castled queen, he hasn't castled kingside. Actually, he's waiting on the black's reaction, and depending on that, he's going to decide what to do. After d6, which was a good part of the game because he just wants to prevent e5 by white, white goes and finally decides to do something. He just went for the long castle. And long castle is a great thing here, and it's a very logical and applicable at the situation, because when you play long castle, what are you actually doing here? You're just threatening e5, putting your king in a safety, completing your development, and eventually, if you wish, you can just bring the last piece into the game. It's rook from h to e1 and complete everything. So after long castle, black played bishop c3. But apart from bishop c3, where he clearly gives up the bishop pair and give us these crazy strong bishops on c4 and c3, question was castle. What to do if they play short castle? For example, you just go with e5, kicking this knight away, and after knight g4, you don't care about the pawn on e5. You care about the activity of your pieces and possible attack. So here, h4 followed by knight g5, threatening mate on h7, and just getting a full activity of both of your bishops. Eventually, you can just jump with the knight on d5, including another piece opening up the dark square bishop. In the game, instead of short castle, which in my opinion probably actually, I don't know, this already looks very dubious for black. So after bishop c3, here white played bishop c3. I very much like these bishops in cooperation with this queen on c2. Don't worry about the king on c1. Maybe it's pretty much naked here on the queen side, but you don't have to worry for its safety. And now you're gonna see what kind of hurricane happened in this game. In just 10 moves, black was teared apart. So after like castles, he just went for e5. That's the main point of this opening. That's the main point of this Danish Gambit. You just care about the activity of your pieces more than anything else. And this is what I teach my students. Play for your pieces so they can play for you. That's what Paul Morphy used to say. Here, after e5, you're just opening up the rook on d1, creating an X-raise against the queen on e1, and more importantly, open up the queen, which is going to support the attack with h4 and knight g5. After e5, of course, they cannot take the knight because you just win the piece. So knight e5, you just take knight e5, and they cannot take because the queen is hanging. Black went for knight e8. Logical thing, he just wants to overprotect on d8, but at the moment, he's just weakened his king side. And I'm just going to give you like a brief explanations how should you attack. You got two great bishops, you have a great queen on this diagonal, you have a possibly good knight, rook that you have to take advantage of, and rook on d1 that all the time kind of harasses this queen and create an X-raise. So after knight e8, here white went for the move h4, a beautiful move. So apart from finding like a typical tactical things and creating and solving puzzles, you just have to know how to make these kinds of moves. h4 in this position is of a great value and a help for white, because all of a sudden you're just getting the g5 square for jumping with your knight. Those are the moves, and that's how you actually create your attacking skills, by finding these kinds of moves. It's a nice thing because let me just show you. If h6, you cannot play an immediate knight g5 going for the fishing pole, because they're just going to take, and when you take, threatening and opening the h file to deliver checkmate, they would just give you queen g5 check, and they just defend themselves and you're lost. In order to be able to attack properly after h6 and to use the fishing pole, you just go on b2. Why do you go with the king on b2? Why not on b1? Because of possible X-rays by the bishop that can go on f5. So here you just go with the king b2, and you want to go with the knight g5 afterwards, because now fishing pole is going to work. Another thing is, what happens if they just simply play g6 and they would like to include this bishop on f5 and reject the attack? You just go with h5, and that's what I told you. Let's take advantage of the rook on h1 and go with h5 and open the h file and do a thing like this. So when they play bishop f5, you go queen b3, threatening on this diagonal, threatening here, and this is a good thing. Of the bishop on c3, they can go with a typical knight a5. After queen c8, you take, and when the bishop takes, you just break, getting a great battery, opening up this one, and I can see the mate on the horizon, and the mating attack is just unstoppable. So get ready for a really nice end of the game. Black went for queen e7, and this guy, Martin Beer, went for the knight g5. He threatened checkmate in one move. Black had to play g6, and now this is what I constantly keep repeating to you. Help your pieces so they can help you. By taking on d6, you're opening e-file and would like to go with rook h to e1, harassing and just going for the queen on e7. After knight a6, rook h to e1, and I really need to emphasize on the importance of all these active minor and heavy pieces in the white's camp. The guy went for queen d8, and another beautiful move here that is like very special was queen b2. I like this one a lot because he's creating a battery and threatens very nasty bishop h8 followed by queen g7, because he can't play f6 because of bishop on c4. Probably black was hoping for the best to take on c4 to remove the queen. Okay, our queen on d8 is hanging, but white's queen on b2 is hanging as well. Black was up materially, so he thought that this could be a good exchange. What he didn't look at was that after rook d8, knight b2, rook f8, king f8, knight h7, king g8, he forgot about the mating pattern with a rook e8 and rook h8. So he was down 2 pieces, couple of pawns, and still managed to mate black. Hopefully you enjoyed in this game, and see you on next Friday. Thanks so much. Bye bye.